Yeah.
So, where was I at?
Um, yes, you were talking about flu shots.
Okay.
3,000.
So we do about 3,000 here on campus. Just this year, we added the University Physicians Group, which is also part of the medical school. It's their Physicians Association. So we added, so not only do I take care of just Wayne State, my largest employer group, I take care of other employers in the area. So I work for the DIA. I look at employer groups at least a minimum of 200 because it makes more sense for me to actually travel out there. I started tagging with the physicians groups and some of their other physicians to help physicians groups get out more flu shots because as we know today there's a slight pandemic, of everyone needing a flu shot. And traditionally speaking, with the way we're so busy with our phones and everything, it's almost impossible for workers to make their time schedules. So by me coming on employer sites and offering this flu clinic that's making life a little easier, they even come up with family days, and I also take care of a lot of daycares. So on average, we do about 10,000 immunizations at this pharmacy average a year. Are they all flu shots? Not so much. Majority of them are flu shots, but we also get into, other types, like now that I work with physicians groups, we look at zoster, pneumonia, and I started to get into a lot more details of chronic conditions. So again, immunizations is probably our top mover. I know you're probably wondering where all the prescription fillings are. The problem with prescription fillings is I can't compete with free or $4. So if you hear all those commercials, the reason why Target, CVS, Myers, Kroger, that they can give it all for free is that they have a front store. The front store generally offers a 33% plus markup. I recently just started having some of the snacks to go here for the students around us. The hardest part of that is I'm more about health and wellness and changing lifestyles. I didn't have a vision of opening up a big box like the chains. I think there's going to be room for dispensing, but I feel that dispensing prescriptions also comes with a background knowledge of why you take the medication to understand the commitment and the adherence process. So the way I look at it right now, when I work with employer groups, my goal is to help decrease their overall healthcare costs. And with where we are today is that if you're seeing the doctor, that we all have the right education of why we're seeing the doctor, why we're getting blood works. Is it necessary to get an MRI? Is it necessary to get all these unknown treatments? And then for the students itself, even for the students that I've seen here, I find that as much as there's a lot of supposedly sex ed classes going on as a 5th grade, I also know there's a lot of unknown facts. A lot of people don't know what the word contraceptive means, but we know what a condom means. I know a lot of people are using Plan B instead of birth control, but Plan B is not, an answer because, yes, we are at a certain age in life, but, when they're about 30 or 40 and they're thinking of kids, Plan B 4 times a month is not an answer. So there's still a lot of education. We are in a Detroit population. Our health literacy rates actually have dropped a lot. So I find that my performance here at the pharmacy can kind of scale no matter where it is, as long as it's someone who wants to see a doctor, someone who wants to get better. So who are my patient populations? Is anyone who does see a doctor or a prescriber and wants to discuss their medications or their personal health. So a lot of the 3 things that I do concentrate most on is hypertension, diabetes, and cholesterol. I partner with the CDC for 2 main events. I'm one of the primary independent pharmacies for the CDC for HIV awareness. Of course, we are looking at a Metro Detroit area. We know today that most HIV-infected people are now more heterosexuals than they are homosexuals. So, you kind of question the lifestyle of where we are. We're now in the ability to kind of start to play, even if we're starting to question whether or not we are really hetero or homo, So that's why the trends are changing. My problem with being an HIV tester and screener here on campus is the fact that there are people who don't understand the scope of pharmacy for pharmacy. Some people still feel that pharmacists aren't able to diagnose all of this stuff. But the truth is, we're not diagnosing. We're reading the same test strips that you would get at a physician's. So we do that here. It's an oral swab or a finger stick by a drop of blood. In 20 minutes, you put in some chemicals, it reacts. We are not diagnosing here, but there are algorithms from the healthcare department that says if you use 2 different manufacturers, 2 different forms, one saliva or finger, and they're both positive, we can honestly say you have an ability of having, you know, a positive reaction, you have been infected. It's the same thing as a pregnancy. You know, that's basically what it is. You know, pregnancy test, no matter how you do it, it's either positive or negative. You either have exposure. So we are not diagnosing. Now, the CDC, their program is just to create the awareness and know your status. What I've done is I've partnered with certain physicians in the area for infectious disease to make sure that the person that we have just been in touch with, make sure that they're aware of social services, because obviously it's a mind-changing game at this point. So we've changed the program for the CDC where we will have a referral system to make sure that we follow up with them, not that they know the status. We want to make, so I'll follow up with them at the end of the month, second month, and third month. Usually by the third month, they're back here understanding their medication regimens. Make sure they understand the importance of it, because today we can live a good life and not have AIDS. Remember, HIV is not AIDS, it's a precursor to it. And on the flip side, because obesity is our biggest factor here today, everyone's talking about walking, you know, how to do things correctly. I also partner with the CDC for the diabetes prevention program, where we offer a 16-week course for anyone who has preliminary symptoms. You know, we look at BMIs. So if anyone has a BMI greater than 25, we like to say has the potential of being diabetic. And if we're Asian, it's anyone over 22. So even with that documentation, you know, I'm Asian, I have a BMI over 22. I'd like to say that I don't have prediabetes. But if you follow statistics and how we live today, we're eventually, I mean, no matter how you dismiss research, it actually makes sense that it's going to happen. You know, you look at our lifestyles, how many Starbucks, you know, we have Starbucks, we now have Dunkin' Donuts, you know, I mean, how much more do we need? But we all want it. So our lifestyles itself have changed. So you can see that it's mostly about the education process. The hardest part is fighting the stigma of what is a pharmacist capable of doing. But in today's world with healthcare, so you know, healthcare and where the government's going, we know that, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but physicians, there's a lack of physicians out there. I don't know if you listen to the news, but there is a lack. We now have our baby boomers who are now seniors who are ready to start using all of our Medicare funds, you know, those funds that are really supposed to be saved for us, but we don't have physicians for them. And there is a shortage of physicians in the area, and we know that pharmacists can fill in that position. We know that nurse practitioners can, and physician's assistants. So in essence, can we do something to help fill that gap? Yeah, I can help with the testing, because we can do cholesterol testing, which is also what we do here at Wayne State, where we do lipid profiles and help people understand what their numbers mean. In terms of diabetes prevention and being able to do a whole bunch of chronic conditions. Again, I don't say that I'm here to replace a physician. I feel that my job is to be able to speak and generate that population for everyone who sees a doctor. But the question is now, how do we do that? Let me do a quick flu shot again, and I'll be right back. Do you have a question? Or
we'll get to it.